Action RPGs across all of the heavy hitters, Diablo, Path of Exile, Last Epoch, all have one big thing in common with each of their seasons, and that is a meta. The meta is an established list of builds that are typically considered above average to overpowered. And if I'm being honest, it's the bane of creativity in video games since metas have been jammed down our throats in the last decade or so, especially now with short form content creating that fear of missing out on an overpowered build. In this video today, I want to discuss the proposed meta of patch 0.4 coming out this week. And this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge of my videos. So let me give you the down and dirty of what I'll be talking about, as this is mainly an op-ed piece where I just kind of discuss metas in the abstract. One of the biggest things you need to consider before sleuthing through videos and publication websites of which build you'll play is deciding for you what's fun in this game. Do you want to play the new Druid? Are you coming back after a big hiatus and haven't played the Huntress? Looking to try a new Ascendancy on, say, the Mercenary? Establish whatever that is for yourself first. Then I want you to be realistic with yourself about how much time you have to put into this game. Most builds are served to you from the top down, meaning they're built from or with a certain element of endgame items, progression, or at least skill point allotments from the endgame. The new interlude system spits you out at around level 65, in which the real endgame and the Atlas map begin. Most people, when the game first came out, grinded so hard from 1 to 65 that they were too burnt out to start the Atlas map. So if you think you're only going to play those first 65 levels, try out a new class, then wait for the next big launch, then fuck off a meta, play exactly what you want. And let me double down on that. The meta is only there because people took very specific curated approaches to a build, and they're typically very easy to make. You can make a pretty strong character that doesn't rely on some cascading broken mechanic by just chasing keywords in your build. For instance, Blood Mage and Deadeye are the highest played classes right now, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But you can choose a Warrior Warbringer if you want. It just requires a lot more work to make a build that is viable in the endgame. And viable in this instance means playable and able to clear content, not overpowered, not anything like that. So ask yourself, are you going to play to level 100, the try hard end game sweat mode, or is 65 enough for you? Maybe you just want to hit level 80. Whatever it is, please play this game how you want. And I'll give you a blueprint on how to do that later in the video, but it really kind of comes down to establishing for yourself actual realistic goals for your next session here of this season, and then hitting those goals running. But that's too long to watch this entire video. And if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can jump ahead to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. And if you find the video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. As always, you can find a link to my Twitch below, where I'll be streaming on Friday with the new patch and the Druid. But let's get started here on Are You Playing the Meta Wrong in Path of Exile 2? So let's take a look now at the current meta, quote unquote, and get a sense for how things are right now. And if I take a look at this, this is at the League, Rise of the Abyssal, which was the last patch, the third edict that just came out in August. And this is the latest snapshot of everyone that's playing right now. And this is also kind of getting complicated too, because a lot of people are now jumping on, trying new builds, trying to get stuff in a certain way before the patch that can try certain things. But here's pretty much the spread across all players. I think it's like 104,000 players. It shows here, if I go back to a different location, it shows, I think it's at 104,000, which, by the way, is like the largest we've had since launch. But this is the spread of all of the ascendancies. These are always going to be 0% because people play the actual ascendancies. They don't play the base characters. Deadeye and Blood Mage, like I said, are the highest in this. And you can see that the split here is between all these two characters. It's really, though, only levels 80 to 100. And like I said before, if you're going to get burnt out at that point, this is this pretty much this metric that is thrown in your face a lot of from publications to YouTube videos of, hey, 27% of players play Deadeye. Yeah, 27% of players from level 80 to 100 play Deadeye. And this website won't even let me go below 80. So if I were just to take this number and say, what percentage of players are level 100? 39% are Deadeye. So looking at that metric, it kind of skews the percentages a little bit here, right? So if you told me like, hey, you know what, I just want to go to level 80, and level 90 is what people kind of consider the, no, I'd say like 90 to like 95 maybe. No, I'm going to say 85 to 90. 85 to 90 is what people kind of consider the attainable end game. Meaning if you just kind of grind the game enough time, you'll get there. And to get from that, all the way to level 100, it's a lot more of a grind, a lot more of a try hard situation. So if I just look at level 80 to 80, just that bracket, look how this changes. Yeah, Deadeye is still at the top, but it's only 20%. Then we have Invoker, and we have Lich, and then we have Blood Mage, and then there's Titan and Infernalist and Amazon. I mean, this is out of 100 and some thousand players, right? So if we were just to take easy math here and break this down to 100,000, it's easier to pull these numbers out. So when you're taking a look at this, don't sit there and go, well, the Smith of Kitava is down here at 2%, or the Gemini Legionnaire is down here at 1%, or Abyssal Lich. These characters are just not going to be good. Okay, well, Smith of Kitava does have definitely some problems right now, and they're getting resolved in 0.4. But honestly, if you're not going to be pushing that to that 80 pocket, then I wouldn't worry too much about it at all. I would just simply play what I want. And that's what I did. When the game first came out, I played a Warbringer, and everyone said the Warbringer wasn't good. Everyone said play the Titan. I had a lot of fun with the Warbringer. And then I made an Invoker, and I just shit on everything. But it's okay to play a character that's underpowered and not great and learn the game through that, or learn the new systems that are being introduced with the league or with the patch, and then pivot from there. And furthermore, too, one thing you should take a look at with this website, this is PoE Ninja? Yeah, PoE.ninja. I'll put a link in the description below. At level 80 here, we're taking a look at level 80. The main skills skew almost entirely to lightning-based things. These top 4 skills are all getting changed in 0.4. So the meta, or judging what you should play off of the current meta, is unfortunately going to be wildly changed come 0.4. And that 0.4 meta is going to get really shifted a lot, with a lot of people trying to pull in the new totems and using all of the new changes with the way that I'm sorry, not totems. What are they called? Shapeshifts, all those things. People have a lot of crazy ideas like, hey, I want to make a Deadeye build and I want to use totems to pull in the marks, and then play with companions and play with the summon wolves from the druids totem capabilities, but using the Deadeye's real big focus on marking. That may or may not be what I'm planning to do. Or maybe do the Pathfinder. Both ascendancies have been changed in this 0.4 patch. So take a look at the current meta, but don't be a slave to it. Don't think that, well, I can't play an Acolyte of Cholula right now. Cholula is getting a big buff in 0.4. Can't play the Stormreaver. You can play whatever the hell you want. So this is the current meta. Now, how do you devise something that works for you in the next meta, or in the existing meta, or just in general? So jumping over here to Mobalytics, I'm going to make a character. What is this? This is not going to be as accurate because not everything's released yet. So let's make a Huntress. This is one of the other ones I have in mind, is a Huntress Amazon. I'm just spitballing here. I'm going off the top of my head. And here's the dreaded tree that everyone is terrified of. Don't be terrified of it. I have to jump back one step. This thing gets all funky when you try to. There we go. So we start right here, right? And I'm just gonna, I'm doing this entirely off the top of my head. I've got no preconceived notion of where I'm going or anything like that. But I'm giving you an idea of how you can make these builds work at least a good amount until you really have to start fine tuning them once you get to like level 60, when you're going to kind of change either you're going to change your priority for the build, because you're going to have to play the build and go, well, I went into this wanting to be a Javazon using lightning, but I really like the poison mechanics and the poison skills. I'm going to pivot now. Or you just have learned the game better, or you have looked at other things to pivot in a different way. So this just kind of gives you a general baseline. So we're going to be playing, in this instance, a Huntress that is an Amazon, and Amazon's focused typically on like elemental damage. We have some companion play in here, these bottom ones. This is the big thing here, Surging Avatar and Elemental Surge both got big changes with 0.4. Now this will do lightning damage no matter what, and this will be the one that has a chance to create elemental damage across all 3 elements. So let's say we're gonna focus on lightning, even though I know that's getting kind of not nerfed, but they're trying to pull the emphasis away from lightning, because right now in the current meta, everyone's doing lightning builds because Herald of Thunder is super strong, which got a mini nerf. Lightning Rod is strong, which got a nerf. So still, just bear with me here. So let's type in light. Okay, so those are my lightning nodes. Oops, I press something. I press something. Yeah, lightning nodes. This gives me an idea. Okay, so from my start, this is where lightning is. This is where lightning is. This is where lightning is. Sometimes they'll be shaped like actual literal lightning, like up here. This one's shaped like lightning. And this gives me a sense of, okay, well, that's lightning. Well, let's take a look also at projectile, because I'm throwing my javelin. Okay, well, that's some projectile stuff. This is projectile stuff. And I know I've got that lightning branch, this cluster right here, right? So I can kind of pick and choose which direction I want to go, but this at least gives me a baseline. I know I've got a lot of projectile, lightning, and projectile all in this row, so I can knock these clusters out. Let's go ahead and type in companion, because maybe we can play a little bit with the new tame beast mechanic that the huntress has that I'm trying to somehow find a way to combine into the druid. Okay, well, here's a big amount of companion stuff. What's this over here? Is this lightning? No, it's a good chance actually. No, that's the lightning one. Okay, so it's right behind where the companion stuff is. So I'm using a builder for this, but you could just as easily do this in the actual game. And it's as simple as going like, okay, I'm gonna go back to projectile because we have a good sense of where our lightning stuff is. Let's pop through these, pick this up, jump down here. That doesn't matter, I'm just grabbing this. What is this one? This is accuracy rating. This is parrying melee hits. I'm not sure how parry's gonna play into this yet. So we'll pop through these, come down here, and then grab lightning, grab some projectiles. Let's just, let's come back over here. Let's go drop down here. And we've got that, where's that lightning nodes over there? Okay, so we'll pop around, pick up, I'm clicking these. You don't always want to pick up an entire cluster. You pretty much want to look at a notable and see if it's worth it, and then jump into that. So yeah, so it's like you make the determination between those two. And again, same thing here. We would make the determination. We probably wouldn't ideally pick all these. So that kind of gives you a sense, right? Like we've invested 63 points. That doesn't mean we're level 65, right? We'll have gotten points through other means. And this gives us a sense that we've gotten projectile stuff, we've gotten lightning stuff online, and that's how we can really build out very easily. I haven't even looked at my ascendancy stuff here, right? So like we could probably do these, because I know this is particularly good for lightning stuff. Actually, what I would do is not take this one and just do that for pure lightning. I thought this one also had companion stuff on here. Oh, East. I don't know. I thought it did. I haven't looked much at this one. Okay, well, that's actually what I was going to say. What I have noticed, though, is we've taken a lot of steps towards offensive things. So we need to determine, okay, we're a dex character. This is the dex tree. The easiest thing for us to do is stack evasion. So we type in evasion. Well, look at all that evasion stuff on the way down here. So using this builder, I can maybe go to myself and say, hey, we took this route and took projectile stuff, but we've gotten projectile stuff over here, or whatever the hell else. Like I got it all right here. Maybe rather than taking this route, we take this route and get a bunch of evasion rating and movement speed. So this is what I mean, where it's very easy to, let's go do this. Just gonna build down through this, take these and right click all that. So this is very easy to pivot away from and just go with that instead. In fact, we could actually, no, we'll take that. And now we've got a clear-cut way to get defense online for our build. We've got offense online for our build for lightning, and we've got some companion emphasis. Or maybe we're jumping over here for some evasion rating from equipped helmet, gloves, and boots is doubled. Evasion rating from equipped body armor is halved. So maybe we go with stuff like that with our ascendancy. So this is just a really quick example of making an on-the-fly build. There's no emphasis here. I haven't even looked at skills, and that's something you'd want to do, right? It's to be totally honest with you, I think builders, I don't know off the top of my head many of the actual what is this thing called? What do I throw? Not a lance. I throw a javelin. Javelin skills at the top of my head. Sometimes there's other builders that have these all broken into groups. I find it easier just to look at it in the game, because then you can get a sense of progression of what those skill gems are going to be for you. I would jump onto any of my older characters and do that and kind of look at specifically the javelin, which we'll do in just a little bit here. But this just gives you an idea of, hey, this is how quickly we made this. This section is 7 minutes and 13 seconds so far of me rambling. And we've picked up some lightning stuff, some companion stuff, and some evasion rating stuff. And I've barely invested all the points that I probably would have at 65 across both my ascendancy and my passive skill points. And this character would probably do just fine in the majority of places within the game. I could come up here for some like actual elemental damage and go through ailments and stuff like that and really focus on those things. But that kind of comes down to your skill gems and your support gems and which ones you really want to pull into. So let's jump into the game real quick to take a look at those. I called it a spear the entire time this video. I'm sorry, a javelin the entire time this video. It's called a spear. I'm not a good YouTuber is what I'm trying to say. So we jumping into the game, we have all of our gems, and you can kind of see through this how you'd want to build out your character, giving you a sense of progression from level, whatever. This says 19. It would not be that level. It's just because I'm using a particularly high skill gem. I'm using this one right here, level 19. So from here, though, we get that sense of like, okay, let's type in lightning. Cool. There's all my lightning abilities from 3, 5, 7 on onward, right? So I can kind of pick and choose. Remember though, too, you can use support gems, convert things to lightning damage. And now with the way that it works as of 0.3, you can have multiple support gems on your character that are the same on different skills. Let me clarify that really quickly for you because it's kind of sounding confusing. So these two support gems, for example, they can be used. I don't think I have multiple skills I can use this. I can't. Good, cool. So both of these support gems could be in my build, but they cannot be on the same skill. It used to be that if you had one support gem, it was one support gem per character across all of your skills. Now it's one support gem per skill. That's it. There's no lock outside of it. So if I were to look at this list, let's assume they were all green check marks. I could use Pierce 1 on charged shockwave, and I could use Pierce 1 on charged staff. You could not do that prior. So that's a really nice way to kind of allow you to play around a little bit more with your build. But furthermore, too, we kind of look through this and we can say, well, we did talk about that companion play. So where is that? Well, that's the Tame Beast skill. And this gives me a sense of like, okay, that's all the way down here. We need to make sure we're there progression wise, and we can get these skills to fill in and remove, pull in and out of our build. So hopefully this kind of gives you a better way to approach this, because it's really easy just to jump onto max roll or jump onto any other, myself included. I'm going to make a YouTube video after this one airs where I just talk about potential builds, and that's it. They're not the best builds. And I think the worst thing is that I live in a system. I'm a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos. I live in a system that if I don't have some sort of over the top sweeping hyperbole in my title, like this insane ultimate build is the best build you've ever used before, or fuck, then I don't get views. And it's a shitty thing that I have to play into. And I think it creates this expectation that, okay, if I'm not using that build, I'm just not going to succeed in this game. And that is definitely not the case. These builds can be a lot of different ways, and a lot of the meta builds are established that way because of the existence of Reddits, of max rolls, publication websites, of I'm not shitting on max roll, I love max roll, content creators, myself included, that have just distilled down these set of builds for people to easily consume. There are plenty of builds that are wildcard builds, that are not widely used, that are still just as good, if not better than those other ones. A lot of the times, like I said before, meta builds typically will take some sort of abused mechanic and amplify it tenfold because somehow someone looked through the matrix and saw the code. You know what I mean? So don't freak out about trying to make the best character. Don't freak out about which character to choose. Choose a character and go with it. And if you don't like it, you've got all the time in the world to just make another one. Like I said before, I played with a warrior and a warbringer. I got to Act 2 cruel difficulty, which is not a thing anymore. Now it's just the interludes. And I was like, I'm just really not liking this character very much. I got my invoker, which is a monk, up to the same point with that character within like a day and a half. And I had been playing the previous character like 2 weeks. There's something to be said there about like, once you know the path to take, it's easier to take the path. If you ever played an online game, you go from 1 to the max level, it takes way longer than your second character because you just know how to do it. And also it's that familiarity as well. It doesn't feel as long. It's like rewatching Lord of the Rings. How many times do you watch Lord of the Rings? It doesn't feel like a 3.5 hour movie anymore, does it? It feels like a fantastic journey through my nostalgia, and I love it. But again, hopefully this video helps you out in getting a sense for what you want to play come the patch on Friday. And don't feel a slave to playing a lightning build. Don't feel a slave to playing a druid. I'm probably not going to play a druid. I'm going to play something that plays with the primal stuff coming with the druid, but it goes a different route, or maybe tries to leverage one specific thing, or I just play a fucking druid. So like I said, play how you want, enjoy yourself. Don't get too bogged down in what the meta is. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Be on the lookout for plenty of Path of Exile 2 content coming your way. But as always, again, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.